Okay, awesome. My name is Daniel Rasmussen. Welcome to day 3 of the 3-day challenge. Super excited that you're here to join us and looking forward to sharing this awesome information with you. So if you are here for the first 2 days, this is going to be a natural continuation. And if you're just joining us, you're still going to get a lot out of this. So without further ado, let's jump into it, because I know we've all got this things to do in our lives. So we want to make this as an efficient time as possible. What I'm going to ask is that you just try to put away some of your distractions, the phone, silence your phone, put away social media for a little while, and just be present so you can get the most out of this. I feel like this is probably the most important information you can get regarding your health. You're here for a reason. There's no accident that you're here. If you've prioritized attending the 3-day challenge, then you've got some things that you're working on, and you want to break through that barrier where you're stuck. And I really believe this is going to help. So let's go ahead and get started. I just have to share my screen, pull up the slides. And I need to it wants to start. Hang on, let me find where I'm at. Day 3. There we go. Okay. All right, day 3. So real quick, what were your takeaways for days 1 and 2? Number 1, we talked about cutting out all sugar. And then we talked about the importance of hydration, how that's overlooked by so many people. How many of you don't drink enough water? Right? It's a constant vigilance. You have to really do it, but it's one of the simplest changes that you can to your habits that will hands down have one of the biggest impacts. How many of you went out and bought some bone broth for your gut health? Right? I love bone broth. So how many of you are realizing that there is a lot to learn about your health and wellness, and that you don't know what you don't know, right? How many of you are ready for day 3? I am so excited to jump into this content, and this info has the potential to change the course of your life. So let's do it. All right, so some things you can do to extend your health and lifespan. Recharge your mitochondria for superhuman energy. This is a picture, kind of a representation of the mitochondria, the little power unit inside every one of your cells. So also, I just want to remind you about the lenses, putting on new lenses, ability to see the fish. I talked about fly fishermen, how they put on these polarized glasses, and it allows them to actually see through the water and see where the fish are, so they can get a new perspective of where they're going to spend the best time, invest the most of time, and get the best results from their endeavors. So as a country and a culture, we're so focused on diseases and chasing down diseases after it happens that we completely miss the factors that cause and lead up to the disease. So biotoxins, we talked about interferences, inflammation triggers, deficiencies. So our program is designed to help you see better, like the pair of lenses that fly fishermen wear, used to create clarity and depth into your future healthy self. So one thing I'm going to ask is that you put away all your distractions. Just a reminder, we're sometimes so inundated with multitasking, and all of our technology is actually making us, studies are showing that it's making us less intelligent simply because we're unable to focus for longer than a few minutes on anything. So as we go through day 3, there's things that are leading to residual results versus linear results. So not, residual results are the things that you do over time that build up and become a residual effect, whereas linear results, again, if you missed day 2 and day 3, we went into depth a little bit about this. You're doing the same thing over and over, and it's just getting you giving you a little bit of relief, that then the problem comes back, and it's mostly just a temporary. So it's kind of like not fixing the leak in your roof and just putting a bucket under the leak, right? Whilst the leak is causing the rafters to rot and mold and spreading, later after chasing the leaks around with a bucket, now you've got a major big mess that requires a complete rebuild of the entire roof, not just a few shingles repair. So there's no such thing as a quick fix with your health. So many of us are looking for that magic bullet, and there's only really the solution. There's only really getting to the root of the problem, which requires you to make changes. And if you want things in your life to change, you're going to have to change the things in your life. So when is the worst time to think about your health of your brain? Right? When is the worst time to think about the health of your brain? It's when you are having a problem. I just talked to someone the other day who said she's been early diagnosed with early Alzheimer's, but she doesn't believe it. And because she doesn't have all the symptoms yet. But why is it that we wait until we have a problem? Why should I worry about these things unless there is a problem? Once the brain or the heart stops working properly, it's often too late by then. Why do we take better care of our automobiles than we do our own bodies in our health? Many of these chronic disease signs and symptoms can show up, 30 to 40 years prior to the full-blown disease diagnosis. That is if you know how to spot them and test for them, So 50% of heart attacks victims have no symptoms at the time of their heart attack. I know many of you on the webinar today take your health seriously, and you're looking for ways to be even more proactive. So let's keep moving along here. What are some of the symptoms? We're going to talk about ways to convert fat into energy. Men, we're going to talk about us for a minute now. For the ladies on the webinar, if you have a man in your life, go bring him in the room, so we can get the benefit from this, or just take notes for that man in your life if you're noticing some of these issues coming up. So low testosterone is becoming an epidemic. And the way that we're doing that is we're lowering, in our conventional medicine, we're lowering the standards for what is considered a low threshold of testosterone in men. So if you look at the blood chemistry over the last 4 decades, the standard ranges for testosterone have been dropping as the population levels of testosterone have dropped. So it's just going with the trend rather than maintaining a high level of, no, you need to have a certain amount of testosterone in order to feel like your body is strong, like you've got energy. So what used to be a normal level of 1,000 is now accepted at normal of 200 to 300, which is allowing men to become deficient in testosterone. And what happens when you have low testosterone? When you have low testosterone, you're going to have hair loss. You're going to have insomnia, psychological problems. You're going to have an increased rate of heart disease and diabetes. You're going to start losing your muscle mass, skeletal bone malformations. You start to develop man boobs. Get your abdominal fat accumulates more, and then your genitals are not sufficiently developed. You start to have infertility, reduction of sexual desire, lack of libido, and even in young men, delayed puberty. When testosterone is high, you should have, when it's too high or too low, you're going to have problems. But we're seeing more of the epidemic of low testosterone. So what I've really noticed is grumpiness. When guys get low in testosterone, they're, because things in life are not going as they wish them to be, from all these symptoms, you just don't feel like your healthy, vibrant self. So grumpiness is a really big indicator there. So how many of the dudes out there are showing signs of low testosterone? Or that's somebody that is low in testosterone. Remember, this is day 3. So we're going to talk about how to optimize your hormones that are making you fat. Day 1, we talked about inflammation, interferences, biotoxins, deficiencies, insulin resistance. Day 2, we talked about gut health, leaky gut, inflammation, and toxins. Day 3 is all about hormones. How to get your hormones to convert fat into energy for you. That is the biggest secret. So menopause and andropause, these are the male and female version of the same thing. Low hormone imbalances, forgetfulness, mood swings, decreased motivation. In women, you have hot flashes. In guys, lack of focus or depression. That you can have headaches, nausea, heart palpitations. In women, irregular periods or vaginal dryness, joint aches and pains. And as your hormones increase out of balance, then you can start to have osteopenia and osteoporosis. In guys, muscle loss, mild to moderate erectile dysfunction, and bone loss as well, and weight gain. So ask yourself, how healthy are my hormones right now? Something we definitely want to look at. By the time we're age 50, you have 50% less testosterone than you did when you were 20. Okay. And by the time you're in your 60s and 70s, you're down by 70 and 80% of the testosterone levels that you had. So as we're getting older, testosterone levels are going down gradually, and you're starting to develop more and more signs of the body going into storage, slowdown, deficiencies. Now, one of the peptides we use in our programs that helps to assist in production of testosterone is called gonadotropin. And gonadotropin injections can help stimulate luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone in men, which constitute the classical treatment for infertility in females. But kisspeptin injections, which is gonadotropin, stimulate secretion of endogenous gonadotropin releasing hormone, GnRH. And this is from the pituitary gland. So this is a new treatment for medically assisted reproduction in women and increasing fertility and natural production in testosterone in men. And it's phenomenal. This is more physiological stimulation that might reduce the risk of overstimulation of the ovaries and the testes that comes with excessive injections of the LH hormone and the FSH hormone. So you have to evaluate the serum kisspeptin role in male infertility as you go along. But this is, there's a problem is some of you are thinking, I don't want to take testosterone, and you don't have to. There are peptides that we can prescribe you that will increase your levels of testosterone. So gonadotropin is really effective, basically maximizing the release of hormones that signal your own testes to make more testosterone. This is one of our patients. Jim had a pre-stroke. He had arthritis in the knees, belly fat. He was headed towards a cliff with the complications of diabetes. After his pre-stroke, his kidneys were in danger. He had peripheral artery disease. He neuropathy, he had peripheral neuropathy, and his blood pressure was skyrocketing. Low thyroid, high levels of homocysteine. And he had tried some other extreme cleanse program right before he came to us. He had done this kind of cookie cutter 10-day program and a really strict elimination diet. And he had lost about 15 pounds. So he did good. But a couple of weeks later, he pretty much had started gaining it all back. So it was very temporary. He didn't get to the root of the problem. So he started with us. We did a consult. We put him on a program, and we asked him, Jim, why now? Why do you want to change things? And he said after the pre-stroke, he had a realization. He had to get to the root of the problem with his health and work with a mentor to help. He said, I want to work with a mentor to help me make changes in my life, and the way help me make changes in the way I think about my health and change behaviors and habits. So he also wanted to run the right tests, and he wanted a program that was designed and tailor fit for his body, not a cookie cutter program, not a one size fits all. So, he told me, I have this one life to live, and I don't want to spend it with a deteriorating health. He said, I want to live, and I want to live well. And I want to be around for my grandkids. I remember him saying he wants to see them grow up and see what they do with their lives and have the health to participate in their lives. So you have to identify the healthy version of yourself mentally, projecting yourself into the future that you want to become, and then find your own why. Why now? Why do you want what you want? Then you can move towards becoming that person, being that person, and doing the things that that person would do, and having the things that that healthy new version of yourself would have. So being, doing, and having. We ran comprehensive state-of-the-art labs that revealed for Jim that, we call this metabolomics, and it shows critical markers for early disease processes not yet manifested. So showing us his nutrition, his energy at the mitochondrial level, biotoxins, oxidative stress, his hormones. We did comprehensive thyroid and immune testing. And we also, looked at his stress response, adrenal cortisone hormone rhythm, and all of his hormones, as well as a comprehensive gut health panel that identified inflammation and gut dysbiosis. We were able to get answers for Jim that his primary care physician, endocrinologist, nor any of his specialists that he was seeing were able to detect. They do it through disease testing. So Jim didn't yet have the diseases. You want to do early detection labs. You want to work with specialty labs that run completely different tests. And it was only then through running these tests that we knew which treatments Jim needed, which protocols he needed, which peptides he needed, and prescribed for him. And we put him on, one of the peptides we put him on is called semaglutide, which is an FDA approved peptide that activates rapid fat burning and reversal of insulin resistance and diabetes. And so if Jim can get these types of results, there's no reason that you could not also get those types of results. The three keys to succeed and accelerate your wellness is these resets that we have to put through. Every one of our patients goes through this framework of healthcare. We've got to first analyze by testing, and then we optimize. And then stage 3 is transform your health. And you've got to find out why you're inflamed, why you're tired, why you're toxic, and how that's impacting your energy. So the first 60 days is all about reset. That includes your mindset, your adrenal hormone response, all of your hormones. And then your circadian rhythm starts to shift and your body starts to correct itself. So a big reset. Next 60 days is to recharge your DNA, your mitochondria, detoxification. All of those are recharging the vitality and the energy at the cellular level. And then restore is the third phase, which is getting your metabolism back online so that it's flexible. It has the flexibility to adjust to what you're doing day to day. It's not just continually going slower and slower. We've got to fix your gut health. And when we fix the gut health, your cognition will also improve because the gut and the brain are connected intimately. And then that leads to a reclaiming of your new health, your new healthy self, which you have created first in your mind and led to an increase in confidence, an increase in your lifespan, an improvement in your relationships. This is our framework that we've taken over 12 years of working with over almost 30,000 patients that have successfully course corrected their one-way track of declining health and morbidity. This is why we get the results that we do, is because this is a transformation process, not a Band-Aid quick fix. And so how many of you ever thought about how long you would want to live? Raise your hand if you've thought, gosh, I want to live a long, healthy life. How many of you have a goal of living to 100? That's a big number. A lot of people say, gosh, if I'm just going to be sitting from a wheelchair, no way, take me out. I'm ready to go. How many of you feel so crappy that you don't want to go on much longer if this is what it's going to be like? So, this concept of aging, this is David Sinclair, author of Lifespan, awesome book. I highly recommend it. Lifespan is his book. So aging, he says, aging is a loss of information, a loss of mitochondrial spark of life at the cellular level. And this leads to interferences of fundamental healthy functions within all cellular activity. So that leads to a disease process that starts as your cells lack vital energy, the health slowly declines and goes away. So we can actually, if we get to that root of the problem, then you can actually improve and reverse a lot of these accelerated aging processes. So, accelerated aging, there's more inflammation, there's more oxidative stress, telomere shortening, your DNA gets more damaged. You have what's called cellular senescence, which is when your cells are literally aging and getting old and wrinkled from the inside out. Your cells have reduced autophagy, where they're self-cleaning and self-renewing. And then your immune system, your immunosenescence starts to decline. This is the disease process. You've got to understand that this starts early without any symptoms. And then as it advances, you start to develop symptoms like cancers, neurological diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, depression. You start to have early signs of it showing up. You start to have atherosclerosis and high blood pressure and increased cardiovascular risk. You start to have osteoporosis, poor bone health overall, and joint achy, the inflammation is getting stuck in the joints. And then you start to have metabolic diseases, type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, weight gain. Those are all symptoms of an underlying deeper disease process. And so what we want to do is actually put you through an accelerated healing process that actually reverses the markers of aging. One of the things I love is that studies actually show that it is possible to reset your genes and reverse disease processes that were once thought as irreversible hereditary genes. Turns out epigenetics, which is the study of what activates your genes or deactivates genes like a light switch almost, we now know that this is possible not only from research, but it explains why we get the results clinically that we've been able to get for the last 12 years with our patients. So there's Dr. David Sinclair. Highly recommend checking out his podcast, The Science of Success. It's just fascinating. So how many of you would like to not only extend life, but also extend your health? Right? So I don't know of anyone who wants to spend life constantly struggling with health issues and doctor visits and piling on medical bills. The last 10 years of your life spent living from a wheelchair. We call this compressed morbidity, where if you can maintain a high level of health, the ancient emperors in China had this idea of prevention of disease up until the very end of life, so that you have a very high quality of life all the way to the very, very end, and then you're gone, instead of this gradual, slow decline over 10, 15 years, whatever it might be. So people are living longer, but the quality of life declines quickly with, this is this last 10 years of your life on this graph, your health span versus your lifespan. Longevity equals lifespan over health span. So, until they're on five, most Americans are their health is declining until they're on the average of age of American over 65 is on 5 to 6 medications. They're less active, they're in pain, or maybe they're even in a nursing home. Optimal longevity, your health is optimized. Looking at that bottom arrow there, when many people we talk to say, I just want to get rid of this belly fat, but what they don't realize is that the belly fat is a symptom of 1, interferences, 2, biotoxins, 3, inflammation, 4, hormone imbalances, 5, gut health, 6, stress overload. So it's never just about, I got to do more crunches to burn belly fat. Every pound of fat on your body requires an extra mile of blood vessels that your body has to generate and build in order to keep you alive. So 5 pounds of body fat equals 5 extra miles of blood vessels. Just imagine the stress that places on your heart, to pump all that blood through these extra blood vessels. No wonder heart disease is the #1 killer in the United States, not to mention, extra wear of the weight on your knees, on your joints. The fat itself becomes inflammatory. It triggers inflammation. So belly fat is much bigger issue than just, belly fat. It's not just a vein issue. So that's one of the takeaways from this 3-day challenge. You got to be aware of what fat accumulation signifies underneath it all. So this is one of our patients. Her name is Susan. Before she had chronic pain in her knees, all over her joints really, but her knees were the worst. She was depressed. She was overweight. She had already had 7 joint replacements, both hips, both shoulders. She had one of her thumb joints replaced. I mean, she had just been through so many surgeries, and she was on 17 medications. And I explained earlier, if you're on 5 or more meds, you have 100% chance now of having adverse reactions to those medications. That's called polypharmacy syndrome, when you're having symptoms associated with all the medications you're taking. So one of her goals was, Susan, she wanted to get her health back so she could get off the majority of her medications. So we told her, we're not managing your meds, but what we'll help you do is get your health restored so your doctor can take you off your meds. And they gladly did that. So we put her on the 60-day reset, put her on these amazing peptides that opened up her metabolic pathways, again, after being shut down from poor health and inflammation. And so Susan, after what happened was she's able to lose over 50 pounds. Now, this didn't happen in 60 days. This happened over a course of several months, but 6 to 7 months. So, but the result is not only was she losing weight, but she was out of pain. Her joints felt better. Her inflammation was better. And her doctor had taken her off of all but 2 of her meds. And pretty soon she will be off those ones as well. Her doctor's very happy to remove these meds if you don't need them. So the health markers have got to improve first, though. So we have to take the body through a reset process. Reflect. I want you to reflect on your why again. Why now? And what is it that you're trying? What future is it that you're trying to create for yourself? Your new healthy version of you has to exist first as an idea for you to then take the action steps to make it happen. And you have to actually believe that it's possible and feel good about the direction and the steps that you're taking. Because if you feel frustrated, if you feel impatient, then the results that you're going to get are going to be diminished. And then you can recharge your life with a new health, vitality, and free of pain. So when you start losing weight, that 1 pound of blood vessel, that 1 extra pound of weight equals 1 mile, of blood vessels. And this improved cardiovascular health. When you start losing weight, your metabolism starts getting better, your brain function improves, and the whole system-wide improvements start to show up. And then that translates into longevity. One of the biggest impacts that on cardiovascular health is exercise. So the third challenge in day 3 is going to be exercise. Now, I understand a lot of you might not have the energy, or you might be in pain, but this is just knowing that fitness and exercise has to be a part of that. Why is that? Well, what they found is exercise activates the functions of the brain through something called the BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And it serves as an important regulatory mechanism in the growth and development of neurons in the brain. So IGF-1, which is insulin-like growth factor 1, is related to neurogenesis. So it stimulates IGNF-1. And BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor gene, is involved in the growth and differentiation of different neurons in the brain. So making more neural connections. Exercise actually builds neural pathways, which stimulates brain health, which prevents Alzheimer's, prevents Parkinson's, prevents all these neurological diseases. And it also helps reduce cortisol. Cortisol is released in response to stimuli such as psychological oppression, anxiety, and fear. And stress also induces changes in BDNF. So, the outcome, there was a study of group of adolescents. One group got about 2 hours of exercise daily, and they were studying for 2 to 3 hours, while the other group stayed in and got no exercise. And they studied longer because they didn't get any exercise. And the discovery of this study was that the kids that got exercise and studied less scored much higher than the group with no exercise and studying not 2.5 times what the other group was. So imagine the importance of this exercise as you age. So this has got to be the day 3 challenge is you've got to get exercise into your picture. Exercise, the benefits of exercise is, this was the study that I just related to. So now exercise and BDNF, the high intensity exercise group showed a significant increase in brain-derived neurotrophic factor at rest, concentration level of insulin-like growth factor in 1, cortisol, and working memory. So they were testing for all these levels and had absolute definite changes compared to the control group. Some foods that actually help with BDNF, believe it or not, coffee, the caffeine in coffee has been shown to increase your BDNF. But you have to be careful to choose a coffee that's not heavily contaminated with heavy metals and mold toxins, mycotoxins. So some things that you can add to your coffee are things like L-theanine, 200 milligrams. You can add collagen peptides. You can add butter, grass-fed ghee, grass-fed butter. You can add a little bit of chocolate bone broth, a little bit of salt. It depends on what your tastes are, but you can turn this into a very healthy drink. Now, one thing you want to do is increase your IGF-1, which helps with the BDNF. Okay, this is getting a little technical, but IGF-1 is the insulin-like growth factor. This supplement is amazing for good brain health, muscles, pituitary gland function. Sarcotropin IPA is one of the supplements that we determine whether or not a patient needs it based on their testing. So one ingredient that sarcotropin has in it is alpha GPC. And so this is alpha GPC is biosynthetic precursor to acetylcholine, which is an important neurotransmitter in the brain. It's been investigated for its potential to treat Alzheimer's disease and other dementias. So it's fantastic at prevention and as well as keeping the brain healthy from going into cognitive decline. Sarcotropin IPA, there's a 90 days phase 3 study that showed that it also helped stimulate the body's fat metabolism. 9% loss of total body fat. There was a 14% loss of visceral fat, and there was a 5% increase in lean muscle mass, all related to the increase in IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1 hormone. How many of you are excited? You know, this is when you maximize brain health, the effects are systemic through your whole body, because that is your regulation. That's the supercomputer for the entire brain. How many of you are excited about converting your weight into energy, more energy for your body, more your muscles, and your health? For those of you who are wanting to set up your health discovery session, you know, we have set aside some time this week. If you're on this webinar, please let my team know. Type into the chat box that you would like to set up and reserve one of the time slots that we have set aside and blocked out this week. I know the first 2 days we got a lot of those time slots taken, so they're limited. So we might have to schedule it for next week, but don't put it off. These times are limited. My schedule's filling up quickly. So let's keep moving. There are two big mountains we have to move, okay? Number one, inflammation. We have to, you know, look at, you know, where's the inflammation coming from? Where's the fire in your body? And then we have to mitigate inflammation with peptides, hormones. How are those affecting your nutritional deficiencies? Because inflammation interrupts systemically your body's normal function. You know, and then we've got to look at what are the interferences through testing. You know, you could be wearing certain clothes, emotional triggers, you know, there's an increase in benzodiazepines, benzodiazepines like, you know, these benzodiazepines are for anxiety. Xanax is up 35% from last year. When you have great health, not only do you have better relationships, and the studies show that you have more financial stability actually than when your health is suffering. People who are healthier have more opportunities. They're more productive, they have more energy, and they have more financial security. Studies show that when you take care of your health and you invest in your health, all of these other aspects of your life improve. So the very first place to start isn't, well, I need to make more money so I can invest in my health. You know, the very first place to start is investing in your health, and you're going to start seeing things show up in your life that you never imagined. So, you know, if you go back to day one, you remember, you know, if you were here for day one, you'll remember the case study of Tara. Tara said that after she had decided to invest in her health and went through our program, we helped her transform her health, and she was now empowered. That next year, after she transformed her health, she made $70,000 more in income that year after having invested in her health. And she realized that she was not only going to hit all of those goals in her income, but she had to first get her health in a thriving situation. And she's now doing better than she has. She's doing better in her personal and financial life than she has in the previous 10 to 15 years, according to her. So that mindset of procrastination, putting it off, just pushing through, I can deal with this, it can creep in really subtle ways. So if you say to yourself things like, you know, I want to be healthy, you know, I want to be healthy, I will be healthy, that's always putting it off to the future that never arrives. You actually have to say it right now and take action now, because the subtle of creating a future self, if you're always saying, well, I want to be healthy, 20, 30 years can pass and you're still saying, well, I want to be healthy. Nothing has changed. What gets in the way of progress is sometimes ourselves. It's hesitation. What gets in the way, interferes with our progress, is hesitation. So I'm going to have give you a challenge since it's day 3. Imagine if you don't do anything and you just say, these are good ideas. You know, imagine if you hesitate with your health, and what will you lose out on potentially? missed opportunities that might have come that you never even could have dreamt of because you didn't change your health, you didn't improve your health. You might miss out on a higher quality of life because you were hesitating to take action now to make a change in your health. When is the best time to plant a fruit tree? It's 20 years ago, not today, because you want to enjoy the fruit from it. Now it's a little too late. You can't plant that tree. So if you want a better relationship, if you want more income or business revenue, because you need to have the energy and the focus and the dependability of your body to function at its very best. On and on we could go and list ways to transform your health. So one thing I always tell patients when we're working with them, there's a study that shows that if you think about your goals, that's great. But sometimes what really motivates people is to think about what if I don't do anything and I have a total failure of my health? That sometimes will drive you. You've got to be in pain. Sometimes we just have to be in so much pain and so much suffering before we finally go, you tell me what I need to do and I'll do it. So if you're on this webinar today, that means you're already open-minded to a brand new approach and a new way of looking at your health with these new lenses that we were talking about earlier. And learning that the symptoms are a warning light in the cockpit of like this airplane that you're flying, and it's in midair and you've got your family in the back, or maybe you don't. But if you ignore those warning lights flashing on you in the cockpit of the airplane, what's going to happen? I think you get the point, right? So if you're on this webinar, then you're tired of the old dogma of eat less and exercise more. You're open to brand new treatments like compounded peptides and advanced detoxification of your body and eliminating interferences and inflammation and addressing the deficiencies and correcting poor gut health and correcting hormone health. So you really have to just jump in, really. I mean, there's no other way. It's in order to change the trajectory of your health for the rest of your life. And you can't do that without losing the excess weight you put on. So we have this 3-day fat burn challenge. And then that is the tip of the iceberg to our overall program. But the very first thing we want to do, is we need to get rid of the toxins in your body. So the very first thing you do is work together. And by the way, my team has opened up my schedule for this event. So, keep in mind, if you're wanting to come in and see me or one of our team specialists, is that we will analyze your paperwork. We'll be asking a lot of questions. So if you have labs, you can bring those, but it's not necessary. What we'll want to find out is what your goals are and how we can work together to get you to where you want to be, from where you're at to where you want to be with your health. So remember, we don't just want to paint this dim goldfish, this lackluster goldfish, and just put shiny paint over the top of it so that it appears to be less toxic in the water. But underneath the glittery paint is an unhealthy fish that doesn't even look gold, right? So once we clean up the environment, the body, that's like the equivalent of cleaning the water. And then the goldfish really starts to heal from the inside out and starts to glow, has this beautiful gold color inside and out from head to tail. You create the right environment, then your body can really start to heal. So the big thing you're going to start seeing it when we begin working on your health fundamentals is you're going to immediately stop spinning your wheels with linear results, which is this little on the graph there, that little hop, hop, hop. Over time, you get nowhere. Residual results are things that you do that actually create massive change over time. And we want to have that residual result. When you see that inflammation, interferences, and toxins are preventing you from making the progress you want in your health. So you're open-minded to new opportunities with functional testing, therapies, and lifestyle changes. We can agree that you're tired of prolonging the feeling and looking your best, and you want to take the most productive and effective route possible which results in residual results. So that's why I give this 100% clarity guarantee. If you don't find that the value of this consult, this health discovery session doesn't exceed the investment you made, you will receive 100% refund on it. So you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. You will get clarity on what's going on with your health. You will get clarity on what the next steps are needed and create a program tailored to accomplishing those goals and working together to see so that you want to see in your life and your health, now and the foreseeable future. This is really long-term vision. Some of you want immediate results, immediate changes. And while that can happen fairly quickly, you've got to make sure that it is a permanent, long-lasting improvement on your health. So the clarity on what that will entail and what to expect as you get started and go along the way, clarity on costs. If you feel that you didn't get clarity during this visit, we'll refund your consultation fee 100% of this health analysis and evaluation fee. Speaking of costs, when you go to your doctor and you have a health concern, you're rarely ever given this type of clarity, except maybe a new prescription or a referral for surgery, right? You're just like, oh, you're going to have surgery. That's pretty clear. But you're usually only given two options with conventional care. That's what medication or what surgery you're going to need. So there's this concept about being humble and open-minded. Remember the analogy about the fly fisherman with the polarized lenses. If you're not putting the hook in the right place and you're not going to catch the prize. And so same thing with our patients that we work with. If you're not open-minded to learning new ways of being and new ways of going into and creating your new healthy self, then we don't want to waste anybody's time. If you're not open-minded to learning these things, it's just not going to work. So this has got to be a fun process. And everything, I've accomplished in my personal and professional life has always of significance has always been with a mentor. So without a mentor, I would not be nearly where I am today. So you want to get where you want to be, you listen to those who have what you want and have been where you are. And so time to take action. I love this quote by Mark Twain: "The secret of getting ahead is just getting started." So, this is going to wrap up our 3-day health challenge. And I'm now going to share with you what it's like to schedule your own health analysis and evaluation session. So your next steps are reserve your appointment today. Don't put it off. You're going to, this can be done over a Zoom meeting, or you can come into our office and meet us. We really prefer to meet you face to face, but as it is today, everything can be done virtually. And so we work with patients all over the state. And many of our patients that we work with in their programs, we've never even actually met in person. So now the regular cost of this visit is normally, this is an analysis and evaluation looking at hormone and peptide and cardio-inflammatory risks assessment. Normally this visit is considered a specialist visit. And normally when you go to a specialist, you're going to get 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes. We're going to spend an entire hour with you. And for when you go to your regular doctor, and this is a regular doctor who might be a specialist, a 30-minute visit might be billed to your insurance at a rate of $300 to $500. So, and what do you get out of it? You just get drugs, a prescription. You get told that all your labs look normal. So we're going to address all of your health concerns in an entire hour. We're going to look at your health goals. We're going to look at and evaluate, whether your hormones are out of balance by looking at your body type. We're going to determine, based on some of the symptoms, if your inflammation levels are high, look at toxicity levels, interferences, and we will reserve an entire hour to give you that complete clarity. So this will not be a waste of your time. So your cost is $87 with that 100% money back clarity guarantee. At the end of your consultation, if you feel like you didn't get clarity on next steps and you felt like it was a waste of your investment of that time, then we are guaranteeing that we'll give 100% of that $87 in refund. So that is our 100% clarity guarantee. You have nothing to lose, everything to gain. And if we find that we cannot help you, we're going to find someone who can, and we'll refund 100% of your consultation fee. So it's time to decide, to stay content with where you're at, or with where you're at in life, or you got to decide to take action and accelerate your future to a brighter, healthier version of yourself. And that can't be done by procrastination. So how long does it take? Well, it's not a quick fix, but it also should not take years to get there. So each person is different. That's how we evaluate and assess, what lifestyle changes have to be made. Well, we talked about things that, trigger inflammation, lead to deficiencies, poor gut health, hormone imbalances, and toxicity exposures to your body. So there maybe have to, be some behavior changes and adjustments that you're going to have to make. But this is the only way that I've seen that has really resulted in a long-term solution. And you want to work with a mentor, who can guide you step by step rather than trying to read it from a book or search it on Google. So I've had some people that we've talked to over the years who said, well, I want to, save money and I'm just going to figure this out on my own. And 3 years have gone by and they came back and they're said, I wish I would have just, things are getting worse now than they were back then. And I just wasted so much time. I wish I would have just taken care of my health at that point when I had the opportunity. A lot of you are wondering, is this affordable? I'm on a fixed income. Well, we work with, single moms, single dads. We work with retirees on fixed incomes, and we're always able to find a way to make it fit your budget. I also get asked a lot, does insurance cover this? Let me explain a little bit about insurance. So your insurance is the program that you've been using up to this point to cover your drugs and your surgeries. But when it comes to, end stage disease and you have a crisis of your health, that's what insurance is for. It's not a health insurance. It's actually a disease insurance. In case you get disease, the full-blown disease, thank goodness you have the coverage. But when it comes to longevity, wellness, health, your health insurance views that as it's not medically necessary. It's only medically necessary to cover it when you get the disease. So unfortunately, we take a look at what your insurance, is really good for, and it's really good for managing symptoms with medications and going on polypharmacy and having all the side effects of that, or if, God forbid, if you need surgery. And so what I'm going to ask is that for those of you who realize the value of your health is far beyond the dictates of an insurance company managing your health for you, then this is a good fit. So I ask that once you sign up and schedule your health assessment session, this analysis and evaluation, you've got to fill out the paperwork questionnaire. It's so important. We're going to send that to you so that we know how we can help you. We're going to be asking questions about your health, about your goals. So it's really important that you fill out that paperwork. And that's the bottom line there of really getting to the root of the problem, is really finding out where you want to be. So I want to thank everybody for being on our webinar today. Our team is going to follow up with those of you who are wanting to schedule. Please just type in the chat box that you want to be followed. You want us to contact you. There is also an option for scheduling online and paying online. So take advantage of that and get on my schedule. I know that we're filling up quickly, but I want to just express my gratitude that you were on the webinar today and that you're here. You care about your health enough to invest a little bit of time to learn about your health. And thanks for joining us on this 3-day challenge. I've had a great time presenting this information and some of our expertise that we've gained over the last 12 years, working with over 30,000 patients. And I look forward to seeing you on your evaluation session. Thanks for joining us, and we'll stop there. All right.